It's not about politics. It's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. We're just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get in and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to It's Just Football. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Mike Renner joining you guys on a beautiful NFL regular season Thursday, baby.
I will say, didn't hit me. Like, that energy didn't really hit me until that intro.
Really?
It really was just
you
like...
just walked around?
I don't know, like you kind of...
average-ass day?
The way the Packers season ended last year, kind of in a malaise ever since that game. But now I'm back. Like, that feeling right there. Bills, Rams tonight, week 1, first opening day. I'm fucking hyped.
Man, all of the generic we have NFL football tweets on this morning, that didn't get hyped up?
No, that was actually...
I fired one off. I'm sorry.
Oh, did you?
I'm sorry. I fired one off. I'm sorry. I did. I had to do it.
I retweeted Chris Long's tweet lamenting those tweets.
Yeah.
Because the last Sunday without football, here football's back. We won't have a weekend without football until January. It's like I have a calendar too.
Listen,
I know what.
Look,
I can read time.
Look, I got to feed my family though. I feed my family directly from engagement. So likes, retweets. That's it. That's how it happens. What about the people in the production studio? Quinn, you guys hyped up? Were you hyped this morning, or did you not get hyped until the intro like Mike? When did the hype start for you, Quinn?
My team doesn't play until Sunday. So, I'm hyped. I'm obviously going to watch, but I don't think it's fully going to hit me until 1 p.m. Sunday afternoon.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hey, before we move on from you guys, I don't know if Mike has even seen this. Stone, I need you to stand up. I need you to show people the mustache because we are getting to maybe Austin. Look at this, people. Look at this. Hey, Stone. Tell people why do you have a mustache? Tell them.
So last night my buddy and I made a bet on the Mariners White Sox game, and I took a big L. I was feeling pretty good. Luis Castillo was out there. We took the L, so I have to keep this thing on until the Seattle Seahawks win a game. So I don't feel great.
He has to keep growing that mustache. I mean,
at least he can pull it off.
We might get to Austin Gale levels of mustache. Seahawks first game. Denver versus Russ, probably an L. At San Francisco, probably an L. Week 3, but we're talking like end of September at this point. They play the Lions. No, sorry, they play the Falcons first. That might be we might have a serious mustache update every single day.
He's lucky that he's working so much during football season, and that it's not the summer, and he has a lot of time in his hands to go out because that's although he looks good, he pulls it off like
he does. I don't think I couldn't do it. My dad has a mustache he's rocked like for decades, basically since I was born. So I've never known my dad for anything else other than mustache. But I love that. I don't think I could do it. I just don't. No. I don't think I can do it. I don't know. Maybe if I lose a bet at some point on this show, I might have to do it. But that was a Manscaped ad right there. So that was a free one for you guys. All right, let's get into some football. There's a lot to talk about today. Mike and I are going to be giving you our full season standing predictions. We are going to give you the records that we think for every single team in the NFL. We'll tell you who is going to win the divisions. We'll give you our playoff brackets, and we will tell you who is going to win the Super Bowl. We'll also, of course, preview tonight's game, Bills-Rams, give you a couple of bets to make you some extra money before you get into this football weekend. So we got all that coming. But the first thing I want to do is we refresh the timeline here to start the show, as we do every show. I want to shout out Ari Merov, who covers the league as a whole, a lot of the big news that's happening around the NFL for PFF. He's got a great article right now over on the PFF app. If you guys don't have that, you can check it out. If you got an Apple phone, go to the App Store, download the PFF app, and you can see this. It is the latest rumors around the NFL as we get into Week 1's action, and the cover story is Zach Wilson. And I want to start talking about Zach Wilson, Mike, because man, it feels like this injury has been, it's been strangely talked about. And now the latest that we have is no, Zach Wilson is not starting this upcoming Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens. And in fact, head coach Robert Saleh said that it would be week 4 against the Steelers at the earliest that we would see Zach Wilson. What do you think about this whole Zach Wilson saga and where the Jets are right now?
Yeah, it's kind of why I put the Jets as one of the teams, I don't want to say on the hot seat, but like one of the teams with the most pressure because this is a prove-it year for a lot of people in that organization, including Zach Wilson. And they have a gauntlet to start the season. Without Zach Wilson, they have the Ravens, Browns, obviously caught the Browns at the right time, but the Bengals in week 3. So he's gonna miss those 3 games. And then when he does come back, even if it is week 4, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. If it's week 5, it's the Miami Dolphins. Week 6, the Green Bay Packers. He's coming back against top 10 defense when he does come back.
Right.
Or at the very least, a very good defensive line. So it's not going to be an easy road for Zach Wilson. He better put up a shut-up early on, because if he struggles when he does return, Jet season's over. They have too tough a schedule early on to get back in the mix. I'd be worried if I was Jets.
This whole Zach Wilson thing has been really weird to me, because for as much as I'm skeptical about people watching live games and then giving the injury prognosis or diagnosis of it, a lot of people watched that Zach Wilson non-contact injury back when he was playing the Eagles in that first preseason game, and they were like, oh, this doesn't look good. They were saying that it was ligament damage, could have been season-ending, all that, but it ended up not being that. The official diagnosis was a meniscus tear and a bone bruise, which they really tried to downplay. And the timeline for that was going to be 4 to 6 weeks, okay? Start of the regular season, that's that 4-week timeline, but if he's not starting until week 4 at the earliest, that's 7 weeks, and that could go into 8, 9. It just has always felt like the Jets, I don't want to say they were lying to us, but it feels like they were trying to make us think that this wasn't nearly as big of a deal as it was. You remember the movie Remember the Titans?
Yeah, we just talked about yesterday.
When Boobie Miles tears his ACL and he almost like just doesn't want to accept the fact that he did that. I'm not saying that Zach Wilson tore his ACL. I'm not saying that. But it feels like that situation where like Zach Wilson is more hurt than they want to believe. Robert Saleh said 2 days ago that Zach Wilson could start on Sunday if he felt 100%, and now he's out till week 4. I don't know. It's a little all over the place. I agree. Don't play him until he's 100% healthy, but it's been weird.
To me, that's probably what this is. It's probably a situation where if they had to have him, he could go. If this was the playoffs, he'd be out there. He'd put a brace on. You know, remember when Aaron Rodgers had a similar, not to say similar injury, but Aaron Rodgers tore his MCL, is back playing the next week, but just really, hampered by it and protecting it, but could have played, because that's what I would bet this is for Zach Wilson. But they're saying, why risk an ACL with Zach Wilson when it could not necessarily change your season for him to miss 3 weeks? I think it's probably the bigger thing.
Yeah, I see you. All right, the next bullet point that we had on Ari's article, and another big point that a lot of people were talking about yesterday, is Dawson Knox, the Buffalo Bills tight end, which obviously that is topical with tonight's game as well. Signs an extension, reported 4-year extension, over $50 million, 31 guaranteed. Mike Garafolo had those numbers. I haven't seen him updated in any of Over the Cap or Spot Track or any of those places, so I don't know exactly where it lines up versus tight ends, but Schefter had tweeted out as well that this is supposed to get him in the top 5 tight end category, which I'm a little shocked by. I've always been a big Dawson Knox fan. Thought he was underrated when he was at Ole Miss, just behind a lot of really talented pass catchers. But Mike, I'm curious, what did you think of Knox when he was coming out of Ole Miss as a draft prospect, and then him getting that payday pretty early?
Yeah, how about the talent on that Ole Miss roster?
Yes,
he came in with A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, all those guys now
Dan
making
Jefferson.
North of $13 million a year in the NFL. That's putting him in just outside the top 5 in terms of pay.
DeMarcus Lodge was the other one, too.
Who ended up being just nothing in the NFL.
He was a good deep threat.
He ended up actually getting the most targets on that team somehow when they had those other 3. Obviously, DK Metcalf got hurt. But to me, it's warranted. To me, you saw the 2 games he missed last year, Dolphins game, Jaguars game. And the Dolphins game, they were fine. They kind of pieced it together. Dolphins are a tough defense, 126-11. But they lost that Jaguars game. And they looked in shambles offensively. Josh Allen just did not have that safety net, the guy he could rely on in the middle of the field. And he scrambled a ton in that game, scrambled more than he does usually. Obviously, scrambling is a big part of his arsenal. But, to me, Dawson Knox, well worth that money to keep together this offensive core that you're already building there.
I think it's certainly a deal in which they're paying him for what he is going to do, which you always love, right? I feel like too many times we see teams sign these guys to contracts for things that they have already done. And it's like, no. It's about what they're going to do when you pay them that money. And so for once, I think this is really great. He had 9 touchdowns last season, only trailed Travis Kelce in that regard. The area that I think they're really going to use him a lot more of is in the red zone, because we have a statistic at PFF called threat, which is how much you are targeted when you are on the field. And I looked at specifically just red zone targets, and Stephon Diggs Gabe Davis, those guys are in the 30%. They're targeting them constantly in the red zone. Dawson Knox is only around 13.5%. So I think that number is going to go up a lot. You got a lot of targets to be given with Cole Beasley gone, with Emmanuel Sanders gone. So I think we will. I think we will see that jump in production there from Dawson Knox this year. You agree?
Yeah, I agree. Okay. And I think he's the type of athlete that, again, the arrow's only pointing up. He came out as kind of a project, high-end athlete. Those are the guys you want to draft. And obviously Knox proven that to be correct.
All right, last one. J.C. Jackson injury. The corner for the Los Angeles Chargers. He was a highly touted free agent, ends up going to the Los Angeles Chargers. Really nice addition for them among many additions that they had. He was given a 2 to 4 week timeline for his return, undergoing a minor procedure on his ankle. Wednesday was 2 weeks since the surgery, but Jackson probably not expected to play. I know they said day to day, but I think that it looks more and more like he is not going to play. So how big of a deal is that with this Chargers team going up against the Raiders?
Against the Raiders, it's a big deal. Truthfully, they're kind of well set up with all the talent they have in that cornerback group, whether it was second rounder Asante Samuel that they drafted last year, whether it's Michael Davis, who they signed to a fairly sizable deal, making nearly $10 million a year at the cornerback position, even if maybe his play hasn't been warranted of that. And then Bryce Callahan, who's one of the best slot corners in the NFL still. So they're fine. Like they are not going to be a liability in the secondary whatsoever. But you still got to have your horses when you're matching up with the horses that the Raiders are throwing out there. Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and the bigger thing to me is those are big dudes.
Right.
Those guys going up against you would want Michael Davis, who's a bigger corner, and J.C. Jackson on the field at the same time, hopefully to match up with all those guys. Right now, they're just kind of a man short. And, yeah, there's probably still the better squad, but if you're going to get upset, this is probably where it's going to come from.
I wonder how much this JC not being in the lineup actually affects Derwin, right? Because with JC in the lineup, I feel like you have him a little bit more confident to go up against a Devontae Adams, to go up against a Darren Waller or something like that, where you then allow Derwin James to be a lot more free, right? You can use him in a variety of different ways, but it feels like if Jackson is out, you're probably just going to want Derwin more matched up in coverage against one of these guys, especially because
it'll probably be on Darren.
Yeah,
Waller, right. That's just where you would think you'd deploy him over the middle of the field. Size, I think that's the matchup that they're going to target with Derwin, and then just pray their corners can hold up on the outside.
It's a prayer. As much as I like Asante Samuel Jr., as much as I cape for him in the draft process, Devontae Adams is a different beast. Devontae Adams is somebody that's completely different. So those are our 3 injury updates that we have right there. Obviously, everybody, if you guys don't have the PFF app, go check it out. You can stay up to date on all of those injuries, all the latest news and information. If you got an Apple device, you can go download that right now. People in the chat are pointing out that I'm an idiot, and I said, remember the Titans? For Booby Miles?
Yeah, I'd be confused
there
and
for a second. I meant Friday Night Lights. You even said out loud, you were like, oh, we talked about that yesterday in the show. And in my head, I was like, we didn't talk about Friday Night Lights yesterday in the show. So, yeah, I'm off to a great start this morning. Maybe my mind is already on the Thursday night.
I'm on Ross St. Brown. Hadn't seen Remember the Titans. Trev hasn't seen Friday Night Lights.
Okay, no. Okay, whoa. Do not put me in that category. Don't put me in that category with I'm on Ross St. Brown not seeing Friday Night Lights. But it was the Booby Miles reference. You guys understood what I meant. You understood it. You were there for me, and you caught me. All right, well, let's get to our season predictions. This is something I'm really excited about, and I want to see the chat. I want to see you guys get involved with this as well. What Mike and I did is we went through a season simulator where instead of just saying, oh, I think the Rams are going to win 10 games.
Yeah.
All right, pick them out. Where are the 10?
Yeah.
Mike and I went down every single week of the NFL schedule. We picked winners and losers.
Every single game.
I don't know if things are going to change, but that ended up spitting out some final records for every single team. So I don't know. Who do we have first? Who do we have first, guys? Do we have mine first? We're going to go like AFC and NFC. We're going to break it up a little bit.
I'll just say I love this exercise. It really puts your money where your mouth is in terms of, you can look at a team and be like, they don't feel like a 10-win team. But then you go through a schedule and they're like, they got 10 very easily winnable games on that schedule. It's kind of, I think the one team that I'm going to highlight a little bit is the Eagles, that I went back and I'm like, damn, they just got a lot of games that I think they're probably going to win.
Yep.
And so it really makes you evaluate their schedule as a whole when they play teams. You know, if you're playing the Browns early on, that's probably better than playing the Browns later on in the season. If you're playing the Cardinals the first few weeks, it's probably better than playing the Cardinals once D-Hop comes back. So it really makes you think about those things because scheduling, timing, so big in the NFL season.
All right, so we're taking a look at my final AFC standings first. Mike, is there anything that stands out to you? It came out pretty chalky. I will say that the Bengals ended up missing the playoffs in my simulation because the Dolphins and the Raiders won the tiebreaker against them. I don't know exactly what the tiebreaker was, but
Quinn's going to fight you. Quinn's coming into the studio right now.
Well,
I wasn't,
but the Bengals do play the Dolphins. Excuse me.
Oh,
so they could have a head-to-head.
So then I think I might have had the Dolphins winning that game. But yeah, all right. What stands out to you here?
You're low on the Titans.
Yeah,
they were the 1 seed last year. You have them going 7-10, and now their losses were very obvious. Julio Jones, AJ Brown, those are big names. There's reasons for me to believe their defense could be better this year. Like I really like the talent they have on the defense side of the ball. So I'm going to be higher on the Titans. I'm trying to think what else jumps out here.
Well, I'll just say for the Titans while you keep looking there, not only do you lose A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, you also lose Harold Landry, who is now gone for the year. I think that that's going to be a big deal. I think that Derrick Henry, for as much as he has been an unbelievable battering ram for the last 8 years, whatever it's been, it's going to eventually catch up to him.
You're calling him washed. That's what I heard.
I'm not calling him washed.
Derrick Henry washed.
I thought the Titans were going to take a step back last year. They were way better than I thought they were. So maybe I'll be wrong again. Maybe I'm just a fool.
And then
but that's my
Patriots here going 8-9. You're basically saying, I don't believe Belichick is going to overcome talent deficiencies, and I don't believe Mac Jones is like year 2 breakout.
No,
like year 2 next step.
Oh, so you're talking about I'm low on the Patriots.
No, I'm just curious. Like it's just 8-9. You must have been kind of just not buying the Belichick wins every year, sort of.
To me, this roster is like 8-9 for the Patriots. To me, is Belichick winning every year. Okay. I think the Patriots roster stinks. I do not like the Patriots roster at all. I don't like the secondary. I don't like the wide receivers. I don't like a lot of how that roster is made up right now. I think that they're going to be a lot of the games that they win are going to be close games. A lot of the games that they lose are going to be close games, and that's both because of roster deficiency and then how good of a coach Bill Belichick is. So I think it's going to be right around that 500 mark, whether it's 1 game over, 1 game under. That's kind of how I see the Patriots there. Thoughts on Broncos not making the playoffs?
That one's they just seem like they're either them or the Raiders are going to have to miss, right?
Okay.
You can't have 4 teams. So I'm not. Okay. That one's not crazy to me. I'm not as high in the Broncos. Okay. Let's see that NFC.
All right, let's see the NFC. Mike Tomlin, I got him going below 500 for the first time ever. Dude, I agree with you completely with the Eagles.
Oh,
there was
right.
There was no way in hell I was gonna have. I would have told you that I had the Eagles winning 13 games, and you go down that season schedule. Where are the losses?
It's not a lot.
Where are the losses?
There's not a lot.
This is a team that added. It felt like every area in which they could have improved, they did. Pass catchers, they add themselves A.J. Brown to more balance out that offense, get even better on the EPA per play when they're passing the ball. Defense, they add themselves Jordan Davis and Kobe Dean. I know they're young guys, but they'll work their ways in there and they'll help. They got C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They got James Bradbury, right? They have added so much this Eagles team, so it's a better roster, one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. 13 wins, man. Couldn't believe it.
And to me, it really speaks to why GMs, head coaches, love building through the trenches. When you're that good as the Eagles are, on both sides of the ball, offensive line, defensive line, you just have a high floor. Every game you're going in, you're like, we're going to be competitive. When you can run on any team, when you can pass protect against any pass rushing duo in the NFL or like any defensive line in the NFL, when you have that, you're just going to show up. You're going to be a more consistent team, and that's why as we'll see, I'm going to be high on the Eagles as well. Rams falling off. Curious, you're low on the Rams and Cardinals. Cardinals as well, 5-12. Really predicting Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury's out.
Look, the Cardinals started off really hot last year, and then I think they cooled down back to like where they normally are. You're missing DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 games of the season. You're losing Chandler Jones. I know some of those young guys might have a chance to step up, but like I don't have a lot of faith in where the Cardinals are right now. I think that 5 wins is just, that's what they are. That's the kind of team they are. I thought they got lucky last year to have the win total they did because of the start of the season. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. And then the Rams, it's just a tough schedule, man. It's just a really tough schedule for the Rams. I think that they're going to have a lot of pressure on them, and I think think it's going to be right around that 9-10 win mark, and I ended up having them only be one game above 500.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly where I had the Cardinals, but I do just see it being difficult for them to replicate what they did last year.
Just don't believe it. Some people
where'd they get better?
Some people got mad at me about the Commanders being 6-11. I get it. The defense could bounce back. I guess the offense is a little bit better with the addition
They
of
were
John
probably
Dawson.
the one that I just didn't, week by week, I was kind of just like, damn, I don't know. I don't know.
They don't do anything for me.
Because, the D-line could be great, but it really didn't make a difference even when they were at times last year.
Right.
So, bring back, obviously, same coaching staff, and Carson Wentz swapping out for Heineke is an upgrade, but is it that much of an upgrade that I'm really going to go to bat for him? So that was a tough team.
All right, do we have Mike's next, or are we going to my playoff bracket? Which one do we do? Okay, we're going to Mike's AFC standings here. Talk us through it, Mike.
Yeah, I was obviously higher on the Titans than you.
11-6.
I'm pretty high in the whole AFC West. I have them all going above 500.
Yeah.
Obviously higher on the Bengals. I really think the Jets, though. The Jets are probably the one that stick out as just same old Jets. I just worry about, they have a tough schedule, man. They have a tough division. And until Zach Wilson shows anything in the regular season, I'm not buying Flacco to win a lot of games, and I'm not buying Zach Wilson to beat a lot of the teams in their schedule until he shows me something. So that's the one team that I'm really kind of like, I don't really know what to make heads or tails of.
You got the Bengals 12-5, so you're believing. You're a full believer in the hometown Cincinnati Bengals.
I do. To me, offense still wins games in the NFL. Being able to put up points is still why the Chiefs were the Chiefs. It had been the Chiefs. Why, most teams are consistently good, whereas Packers the last couple seasons. Bengals can put up points than anyone. That offensive line with the 4 improvements, with that receiving core, they'll be able to put up points on any team in the NFL, and to me, that still wins games. So I still am a big believer in the Bengals.
I don't think the Bengals are going to be bad, but I don't think they're a 12-win team. I think they're closer to like a 9-10 win team. But, that's kind of my thoughts there. Last thing before we move on, Jags is 7-10, baby. That's what I got too. I think I had 7-10 or 6-11, one of those two. Closer.
I see Trevor Lawrence being good, and that
hot take.
Being what as advertised. I don't think he's going to bust. That would be one of the most hyped quarterback prospects to bust, maybe ever. He was highly touted by universally. It's just the roster around him when you objectively evaluate it compared to rosters around the rest of the AFC landscape. Too far behind. It's too far behind. It's too far behind the Colts. Too far behind the Titans in that division. So even if Lawrence does take that next step, I'm really not sold that makes the Jags contenders.
But at least you think the next step is coming, which I like.
Coming.
All right, let's go to the NFC. Let's round it out with the NFC here. Oh, so you don't have? Whoa.
I guess I still believe in the Cowboys.
Wait, you talked about how easy the Eagles' schedule was, and then you don't even have them win the division.
To me, going in, I'm like they're an 8-9 win team, and then after that, 11 wins. Okay. 11 wins is still would be exceeding expectations. Their props well below that. So Cowboys, I still do think in that division they also have kind of an easy go of it in that division with Dak Prescott. So they're going to win some games. The 49ers are probably the one team where I was like, I believe. I do think even if Trey Lance does anything, like a modicum of success as a passer, what he brings in the run game to Kyle Shanahan's offense, it's what made the Washington so dangerous back in 2012 with RG3. It just changes the numbers for opposing defenses, and you're already down numbers, playing against Kyle Shanahan usually. So Trey Lance, I do think he doesn't even have to do that much for the real 49ers to go 11-6.
I'll talk about the 49ers in a second. I'm not that different on you with the Cowboys, so it's not like you have them 11-6. I think I have them 10-7. But I do have worry with the Cowboys because, one, I'm not the biggest Mike McCarthy fan. I don't have a ton of faith in Mike McCarthy. Dak is there. I have faith in Dak, but it's CeeDee Lamb, and it's a lot less receiver talent than they had the year before. The offensive line's already getting banged up. Micah Parsons is definitely going to still be that dude for sure, but you're not getting 11 interceptions again from Trayvon Diggs, which is different to making possessions, right? So I think all those things just go into it where I'm a lot more comfortable with the Cowboys being a wild card team than winning that division, especially with how easy the Eagles' schedule is there. You got so the Saints are sneaking into the playoffs, right? They got that last spot.
Yes,
got that last spot at 9-8. So what's your thoughts overall on Jameis?
I think we see kind of the guy we saw last year, which was fine, but they weren't letting him rip. He was not.
Oh, we need to let him rip.
What he had.
We gotta let him
you
rip.
said you wanted over 226.5, I believe, yesterday. He did that once all last season. Like, they were relying on the ground game, relying on the defense. And so I am a little wary of when they have to pass, when it is on Jameis's back, that could revert to some old Jameis habits, some old INTs and whatnot. But I still have them making the playoffs.
Panthers is the last one I want to talk about. When you have them 7-10, do you think that's closer to the floor for them or closer to the ceiling when you went through their schedule overall? Because it feels like the opinions on the Panthers and what they could be are all over the place. Some people got them winning 5 games, myself. Other people have them maybe winning the division.
I still think it's a very talented defense. I still think that side of the ball, they have some difference makers, and that's without even Derek Brown, who was not very good last year in year 2. Top 10 pick, not accounting for him in the middle in year 3, maybe making a leap into an impact type of defensive tackle. So I do think their floor is around 6 wins.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to drop below that. I'd be very surprised.
All right. Well, we'll flash through our division winners so you guys can see all those in a more organized way, and I'll kind of go through the chat here a little bit. Andrew said, damn, Trevor hates the Titans. You hate to see it. Look, I didn't have a lot of faith in the Titans last year, and they proved me wrong in a big way. They won the number 1 seed, but I think regression is definitely coming. I'm also the man to bring down Mike Tomlin's 500 streak, which again, I think it's got to happen eventually. Sam said that you got the Browns right. I think you had them 7-10 at the very bottom of that division.
They're just going to start. So the first 11 games.
Yeah.
If they go close to 500, I'll be surprised. It's just tough. It's tough in today's NFL, especially right now, with as much quarterback talent as there is to compete when you got not a guy.
Cooper said that Davis Mills is going to be the new face of the league, so I guess that we're definitely big time wrong there.
I had the Texans low.
I did too. I had them very low. Michael said the Bucs O-line will be fine. Should be a fun season in the NFC. NFC's fun at the very top. I don't think they're very fun at the wild card level, but I do think that they're pretty fun at the top. Ryan said you both got the Chargers wrong, 17-0, bold prediction, but I respect it. I definitely.
They are undefeated right now.
Antonia said that Burrow or Lamar Jackson winning the AFC, not just the division, winning the AFC. It's going to be one of those two. What do you think about Lamar?
Playoffs Lamar?
What do you think?
Sure?
Oh, okay. Well, I
got
playoff Lamar beating the Chiefs in my playoff bracket.
Oh, you do. Let's see the playoff brackets.
Do we have the playoff brackets? Do we have the playoff brackets up? I don't know if we do. I'm gonna run through this. Liam, big shout out, Liam. Good friend of mine, said Packers 17-0. He's a big Packers guy. Mm-hmm. He just texts me in all caps every single Packers game anytime they're doing anything like that. So
I had
he's a brethren.
I had an NFC Championship game. I had Packers 49ers, and then AFC Championship game. I believe I had Chiefs Bills. So that'd be fun. Those would be fun games. Well, a couple of rematches.
Trey says the Patriots going 6-11.
See, I think I'd give him some Belichick love too.
You had 10
but I do
wins,
think
didn't
Mac
you?
Jones. I think Mac Jones is going to take it. I think they're going to be better offensively this year. I think he's going to be a legit quarterback.
Yeah, Elliot said Mike is higher on the Bucs than Trevor is. I think I had the Bucs going 11-6, and again, what did you have them? Like 12-5, 13-4, something like that. The schedule is tough, man. Brady's in a lot of those tough games, and I think what would worry me the most, if you're a Tampa fan, is the Saints. And I don't think that the Saints necessarily are going to overtake the Bucs to win that division, but I do think it's going to be close. And the Saints really play the Bucs really hard. So whether
I will say I gave
or,
Tampa a win the first regular
season. I think
season
I did too.
win
I
for Brady.
split it, but it's almost unprecedented to think that it's anything other than a split or the Saints taking 2, just because that's how it's been. So that's going to be, I think, the really tough part of it. There is. Who'd you have as your Super Bowl team?
It was Bills Packers. Packers winning it all.
Oh yeah, Bills Packers. I had Bills Bucs.
Definitely no bias.
And you had the Packers winning it all. Yeah. Well, I had the Bucs winning it all. So this show's an absolute hogwash. So we had the Bills there. Did you see NFL Network when all 6 of their analysts had the Bills win?
Did the Bills? Yeah.
It didn't matter what the opponent was. It was just Bills all the way. I think the world, and I'm curious what the chat thinks about this. Are y'all is everybody rooting for the Bills? Are we to that point where it's been so long and they had that 4 straight Super Bowls where they didn't win, and Josh Allen took so much shit early in his career and he's bounced back to be this incredible player, and how they lost last year in the overtime game against the Chiefs? It feels like everybody's rooting for the Bills. Yeah, they want the Bills to succeed.
Bills and Bengals. I do think anytime fan bases have suffered as long as they have, and the Browns until this season, people had felt bad for them. Anytime they've suffered that long, you're like, you got to give them one, right?
Yeah.
You can't hate on that. If you hate on the Bills or Bengals, you hate on I was going to make some bad analogies that I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, probably shouldn't do that. I don't even know where you were going. I don't even know what you were going to say. But if you held yourself up from not saying something, then you know that was probably over the line. They also gave us chicken wings, and for that, they deserve at least one Super Bowl. The Buffalo Bills deserve at least one Super Bowl for giving the world Buffalo wings. Let's talk about their first game, though. This could be the journey for them to get that first Super Bowl. Thursday Night Football, the big kickoff game. It's a damn good one. Bills taking on the Los Angeles Rams out in L.A. Mike, do you have a difference-making matchup here for this game? O-line, D-line, wide receivers, corners. What are you looking at as the difference-making area of this game for one of the other teams?
To me, it's the storyline every time the Rams play, but especially in this game. It's Aaron Donald. What's your game plan? How are you going to stop the best defensive player in the NFL?
No, you don't.
How are you going to stop him from wrecking you? Because DTs are tough to game plan around. On a third down, there's no chipping. You can't chip a DT. He's inside. And yeah, you can maybe slide your protection that way, but oftentimes, DCs know that, and they're going to bring a blitz to the other side, then all of a sudden you're screwed. So you can't always do things like that to manufacture pass protection on a guy who's playing on the interior, who's as dominant as Aaron Donald is, which is why he's, again, the most impactful defensive player in the NFL. But the one area that, if there is a concern for this Buffalo Bills team, is that line, is that interior line, basically left guard over. Roger Saffold's in his mid-30s and been on a downslide for a few years now, who they just signed. Mitch Morse is okay at center. You're fine there. Ryan Bates at right guard, and then Spencer Brown at right tackle, who was probably exceeding expectations for a rookie, but if he plays at that same level this next year, he was a liability when he faced real edge rushers. They had to chip on any time. And so how they block it up for Josh Allen, because as good as this offense can be, and as talented as Josh Allen is, they were not consistent offensively last year. And it's because of this offensive line. So that, to me, is the worry if you are a Bills fan going into this game.
Yeah, I mean, look, Aaron Donald's the focal point no matter what. But I do think that some teams might just be at the point with Aaron Donald where they go, he's going to eat. And you just try to handle it as best that you possibly can. But we saw in the Super Bowl that you can't even let that be in the what you expect to happen. He will be a game wrecker if you do not allocate multiple resources to him, and we obviously saw that in the Super Bowl with him getting the game-sealing pressure there. I'm going to flip to the other side of the ball, and I'm going to talk about another guy who's getting a ton of headlines. I'm going to talk about Josh Allen, but I'm not going to talk about his arm. I'm actually going to talk about his rushing ability, because when I was reading all about this game and what Raheem Morris, the Los Angeles Rams defensive coordinator, might be doing to go up against him, when he began to talk about Josh Allen, and then I saw from players as well, when players of the Los Angeles Rams defense began to talk about Josh Allen, one of the first things, if not the first thing that they mentioned, was his mobility, his athletic ability. And that, to me, means that the coaches have emphasized that so much. We have got to contain this guy. Raheem Morris hasn't really been in a situation where he's been the defensive play caller, to where he's kind of gone up against Josh Allen when he's become this big-time rushing threat. But last year, I will say an example that you might be able to use is Rams played the Cardinals against Kyler Murray early in the season, and they tried to QB spy Kyler with Kenny Young, the inside linebacker there, and it did not work at all. Kyler was able to carve him up, be able to do whatever he wanted. They were taking a guy out of coverage just to look at Kyler. I wonder if they're going to do that in this game, because if you're going to do it, you're probably going to do it with one of your inside linebackers. And the inside linebackers that the Los Angeles Rams would do that with would either be Ernest Jones or with Bobby Wagner. And when you look at those two guys, 8% missed tackle rate, that's pretty good for both of them.
They are fantastic tacklers.
Pretty dang reliable. Right.
So, yeah.
32 run stops for Bobby Wagner last year. For as much as people want to say he might be an old man, that was top 10 in the NFL for linebackers. You only had 10 for Ernest Jones, but that also kind of depends where you're being deployed. So that kind of opportunity also goes into that a little bit. But when you look at Josh Allen's side of things, man, forced missed tackles per attempt, yards after contact, explosive runs of 10-plus yards, first among QBs, all of it, rushing grade, everything. When this guy tucks it to run, he is an absolute weapon. And the Rams have to figure out how to be able to contain him, how to be able to stop him, what resources that you put towards that, because I think it's going to be a linebacker. I think that's what they're going to do. They might mix it up a little bit because of how poorly it went against Kyler last year, but it's going to be a big challenge for Jones and Wagner to be able to just contain Allen and not just let him run everywhere. And, hopefully and ideally, if he's going to scramble, you want to make him scramble to his left, right? Because that means he's not throwing on the run towards where his body's going. But that goes into it, and that's a massive matchup for him.
I do wonder if we'll just see, they have super long edge guys for the Rams. Leonard Floyd, 35-inch arms.
Yep.
Terrell Lewis, nearly 35-inch arms. Wonder if we're just seeing those guys try to collapse the pocket on the outside and kind of go back to the matchup I said earlier, and just say, Aaron Donald, you corral him. You bring this dude down and not let him get outside the pocket. I think that could be the game plan, as opposed to taking one of your linebackers out of coverage when they got a lot of options to throw to in Buffalo that you don't really want to be taking anyone away from. So.
Bonkers is back in the chat, and we have an official Bonkers of the episode of the day. So Bobby Wagner on the Rams is Bonkers. It's just an easy statement.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd describe that as bonkers.
Come on, it's kind of just long-time Seattle guy, just seeing him in a different jersey. Same division.
I guess you just become desensitized to it, right? It's just, it's the way of the NFL. It's so few times Brady in a Bucs jersey. I guess that's not a rival. Favre in a Vikings jersey.
It looks pretty good.
It happens. It's unfortunate if you're a fan of the Seattle Seahawks. But at this point in his career, he was not the same guy last year. 32 years old. Linebacker lifespans mirror running back lifespans to somewhat of a degree. They are not guys playing into their late 30s anymore. So he's not the difference maker he once was, for sure.
You're just betting on your childhood to be betrayed at some point by these NFL legends.
Yeah, you just got to get realistic about it.
You're just gonna see him in jerseys that look absolutely obscure. In the chat, we have Kansas City Chiefs, very overlooked at this point. Neither of us had them going to the Super Bowl. I had them winning the division. Do you have them winning the division? So we've got them winning the division. I've got them the number 2 seed in the playoffs.
I like Jake Thornton's take here. He said, Bobby on the Rams is like your best friend's dad dating your mom.
Wow.
It's like Zach Wilson.
I mean, that... Antonio said that Tutu Atwell will score tonight.
Is he going to play tonight?
If you put money on Tutu Atwell scoring tonight, you might be very rich. Antonio, you should throw $10 on that if you can find that bet somewhere. So
is he ahead of Ben Skoranek yet in the depth chart?
I don't know, but I can only think that the betting odds would be plump.
Yeah.
They would be juicy. They would be ripe if you actually think that that's going to happen. Let's get into some bets. Let's talk about 3 of our bets, right? So we're going to pick against the spread, we're going to pick over under, and then we're going to pick a prop bet that we like from tonight. You guys can do the same thing if you go and download the PFF app right now. You can get yourself access to all of the betting tools that we have for free. Kickoff has not happened yet, which means that you can still get that. Go check it out. It's on the App Store with all iOS devices. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review and tell us who you think is going to win the Super Bowl, and we will read them on the show. Go download it. Give it the 5 stars. Tell us who's going to win the Super Bowl. Get in on the show. As you can see right there, it's beautiful. Get all the information that you want. You got the fantasy tab. You got the betting tab. We're seeing it right here. It'll tell you what we think against the spread, the total, the money line, all that kinds of stuff. So it's great. It's good stuff. If you don't have it, go download it. Where are you going first, Mike? Let's start with the spread. Start with the spread. Spread, Bills, I think favored by 2 still, unless something has changed within the last, 15 minutes of me checking it. But
2.5.
Okay, 2.5. What do you think about that?
Bills either way, I'm going Rams. Anytime, I love nothing more than good teams getting points out. That to me, anytime 2 playoff matchups, and obviously a playoff matchup, because one team last year quite literally won the Super Bowl. Playoff matchup, good team getting points at home. Let me get that. I'll take the Rams.
I'm taking the Bills, dude. I think this Bills team is too good. Clearly, by the win-loss record that I showed with the Bills getting, and how I think the Rams are closer to a 500 team than a totally dominant team. I got to stick to my guns going into the season, and I think less than a field goal. Give me Josh Allen. Give me this Bills team. I think they will be well equipped to deal with that pressure, and it's going to be a statement win for them to start the season in LA. So I got them covering those 2 points there. Over under is 52.5. What do we think about that? Are we going over or under on that total?
I'm going under. Bills were arguably the best defense in the NFL last season. The Rams, obviously no slouch themselves, probably borderline top 10 defense still, even with some losses this offseason. I think it's going to go under. I think week 1, I just think two very good defenses at least can slow down these offenses because that's a lot of points. Someone's going to have to be – that means someone's getting into the 30s and the other team getting into the 20s to go over on this, and I probably just don't see that happen.
I got the over.
Okay.
And the reason why I got the over is because with these two talented teams, I don't disagree with you about the defensive takes. I really don't. But for game one, I think defense is still such a cohesive chemistry – momentum building unit. Like we often see defenses get on streaks, right? It's defenses that will have a couple of really great weeks or shoot, they can even string it together for a great season. It doesn't always come out of the gate hot. And with these two offensive teams, with Josh Allen, with Sean McVay orchestrating that Rams offense with Matthew Stafford, I've got faith that we're going to get over that 52.5 mark tonight.
Well, it's because defenses need film on offenses. Offenses are they dictate the numbers. They set the tone. They're the first mover on any given play. Defense has to react. It's easier as a defense to react when you've seen what the offense is going to throw at you. Week one, you could be a brand new offense. You could be throwing out new shit that you never put on tape in the previous 2 years. So that is probably why defense takes a little bit to get going.
Yep. Braven said the over hits it overtime. So we're getting OT.
Ooh, I would love an OT.
Braven's predicting a little bit of OT. It'd be a late night for us.
Yeah, it would be a late night.
But look, we've waited this whole time.
I'll stay up for double, triple OT if we still went to those.
Depends how many Miller Lights you are in, honestly. What about a prop bet? What's the prop bet to get people out of here on?
I like Stephon Diggs over 5.5. I actually liked yours as well. But I just think we're going to see the ball move through the air. I think in this game, the rushing offenses are probably going to be a little overmatched. And so it's going to go Stafford versus Allen. It's going to be a passing attack. So I think that's going to behoove Stephon Diggs to get over 5. Because we said yesterday, I don't see Jalen Ramsey following him. I don't think that's in the game plan for the Los Angeles Rams defense. And at that point, if you're not getting fouled, he's going to have some mismatches. He's going to get his.
Mine is of a similar mold, but I'm going Cooper Kupp over 7.5 receptions. That is a lot. I recognize that. That is a huge bet with 7.5. But this dude's going to get it, man. This dude's going to get the targets. That's how the game is going to go. And listening to our friend Dr. Eric Eager yesterday, if you think that the scores are going to go over, if you think that the Bills are going to play well, which I do in both of my previous bets, that also means that I think the Rams are going to have to keep their foot on the gas pedal. And if they do so, they're going to do it through the air, and they're going to do it with Cooper Kupp. So I think that he gets around 8-9 receptions tonight. I think he's going to go over that 7.5 mark.
Yeah, I do like that one as well. Like I said, I see this as an aerial first game, not necessarily relying on the ground game.
We're going to keep score of our predictions that we do for Thursday Night Football. I don't know what the punishments are going to be for this. Maybe we could ask the chat like what the punishments should be.
We did talk about the mustache off the top.
I'm not going to do any Jackass 3. Like, you're not going to like strap me down in a porta potty and just launch me 100 yards in the air. And we're not going to do that.
Fair. You can do that to me if you really want.
You would sign up for that?
I'm less like, I don't give as much a shit about those sort of things.
So you're a big Jackass guy? You
watch the movies? The best, yeah.
There's a couple of those, though, that like...
Too far. The ones that got me that I can't watch are the paper cuts one. For some reason, paper cuts just... They make me shiver anytime I even think about paper cuts. I'm really hating talking about it right now.
Anytime they do anything blindfolded... I would freak out about it. You know how like they'll like blindfold them and like have their hand in a box and they're just like shaking the whole. That's me. We can't do it. We're not doing that on this show. But you guys might be able to give us some more tame ideas for what Mike and I have to do for who loses these Thursday Night Football bets. We've got a Gabe Davis over receiving yards prop, which I like. I like that one.
Cam Akers under rushing yards. I tend to agree. He did not look good at the end of last year. And he came back early from an Achilles, but it would not surprise me if Darrell Henderson's getting the bulk in that offense.
Yeah, I would love for Cam Akers to go with the over, but if you're going to bet on that, I think I'm probably betting the under as well. Jake asked Gabe Davis over under 3 touchdowns. You know, it's close, but I think we got to go over. Out of respect.
I mean, he's last time we saw him, he did. So
4 touchdowns, a mullet bet.
The small sample size would say he's going to do it again.
We have Jake also said make them jump out of a plane or something. How is that more tame?
Yeah, that seems like the worst thing. It's like you went from to the absolute tippy top.
That seems worse. That seems worse. Well, we'll let you guys stew on it. Enjoy Thursday Night Football. Finally, Mike and I will be back at 11 a.m. tomorrow to give you all the highlights, talk about everything that we saw, and preview the rest of the NFL weekend as well. For Trevor Sikkema, that is Mike Renner. We'll see you guys then.
It's not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. He's just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
Not just get in and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.